Welcome to another episode of Reality of Maths, where math becomes simple, practical, and enjoyable. Today we are going to be dealing with quadratic equation and everything about quadratic equation. By the end of this lesson, you are going to understand the concept clearly, solve mathematical problems easily, and avoid errors or mistakes students make when writing their exam. Whether you're preparing for your WAEC, your JAMB, your SAT, or any other international exams, university entrance exams, or you are just here to improve your mathematical knowledge, you are in the right place. So, grab your pen and your book and calculator if needed. Let's sharpen our mathematical thinking together. Quadratic equation is an equation whose highest power of the variable is 2. The general formula of quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not 0 and a, b, c are constant. So this simply means that any question we see where we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, now the power of this x must be 2 before we can consider it called a quadratic equation. Before we can call it a quadratic equation. And also this a must never be 0. It can never be 0, and a, b, and c are constants. Now let's see some examples under quadratic equation. We have x squared plus 2x plus 6 equals 0. We also have 2x squared plus x minus 5 equals 0, and 5x squared equals 20. Now if you notice the power in this x, we have 2 here, we have 2 here, we have 2 here. So this is how we notice, or this is how we know a quadratic equation question. When we see the power is always raised to power 2, we know this is a quadratic equation. Now let's see some questions that are not quadratic equation. Just as this one, we have 3x plus 5 equals 0. If you look at here, we don't have any power. The power here is just 1. So, and since it's not 2, it's not a quadratic equation. Now the second one, x raised to power 3 plus 2. Now this also is not a quadratic equation because the power here is 3. So whenever we see a question whereby the power is 1, or the power is 3, or the power is 4 or 5, any number other than 2, we know that that is not a quadratic equation. It can only be a quadratic equation when x is having a power of 2. Let's see some parts of quadratic equation. Now some part of the quadratic equation just simply means that when we have the equation as 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 equals 0. Now let's see the part. Here we have 3 here, we have 2 here, we have 5 here. Now we can call A as 3, then B as 2, and C as 5. So this is how we just know the part of quadratic equation. Also, when we have another question and we want to determine the price and the part of quadratic equation, just like if we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So the part of this quadratic equation, we have A to be 2, we have B to be minus 3, don't forget the sign goes alongside with it, and we have C to be minus 4. So this is just the part of quadratic equation. Now, method of solving quadratic equation. There are 4 methods for solving quadratic equation. Now we have the first one. We have the first one, which is factorization. Method. Then we also have completing the square method. We also have quadratic formula method, and finally we have graphical method. Now you should take note that these are the 4 major methods for solving quadratic equation. The factorization method, which is known to be the simplest and the easiest form of method in solving quadratic equation. Then we also have the completing the square method, which is also easy and simple too. Then we have quadratic formula method. This is where we use formula anytime the the quadratic equation question is feeling impossible to solve. Then we can now use the quadratic formula method to solve the quadratic equation. We also have graphical method, where we use graph to plot the quadratic curve and find our roots. So method 1, for the factorization method. This is known to be the easiest and the quickest way of this is known to be the easiest and the fastest way in solving quadratic equation. Let's see this example, which says solve x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now let's see how we're going to solve this question. Solution. We are going to be solving this question using just 2 steps. So the first step, which says step 1, find 2 numbers whose product gives 6. Product simply means multiplication. It means when we find these 2 numbers, the multiplication of these 2 numbers gives us 6, and also whose sum gives gives 5. Now we're going to find we're also going to use that same 2 number. When we sum it up, it should give us 5. So we're going to find 2 numbers whose product gives us 6, and when we sum it also, it will give us 5. Now think of 2 numbers. When we multiply these 2 numbers, it gives us 6. So we say 2 and 2 times 3, and also when we add the number, it gives us 5. That is 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3. So the number are 2 and 3. So when we find the product of these 2 numbers, 2 and 3, when you find the product of this number 2 and 3, it gives us 6. And also when we find the sum, that is the addition of these 2 numbers, it gives us 5. Now we find the two number, we are just going to bracket the two number in two separate brackets. So we have, from the question again, we have x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So I'm going to bracket here and bracket here, then bracket here and bracket here. Then in one bracket I'm just going to put x plus, in the second bracket I also put x plus. So now my work is just to put these two numbers that we found into the bracket. So I'll put 2 here and also put 3 here, then equals 0. Now the second step, step 2 says, set each bracket to 0. Now the next step is for us to set each bracket to 0. Then we have x plus 2 equals 0, or x plus 3 equals 0. Now quadratic equations, we are going to find two answers. That's why we call it quadratic equation. So the first bracket, we have x. Remember, this plus 2 will go to the other side, and when it's going to the other side it becomes negative, as well as this plus 3 going to the other side, and when it goes to the other side it becomes negative. Then therefore we have x equals minus 2 and also, or x equals minus 3. So this is the final solution to this quadratic equation. Now, still under factorization method, example 2, solve x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So solution, we have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So now we're going to think of two numbers that when we multiply those two numbers it gives us 12. When we multiply them it gives us 12, and also when we sum them up it gives us minus 7. So what am I going to do? I'm going to just go to my my rough sheet and look for two numbers. So I will divide 12 in such a way that I'm going to find my two number. So I'm going to pick 12. Then 1 times 12 gives me 12. Then 2 times what can give me 12 is 2 times 6. 2 times 6 gives me 12. Then 3 times what will give me 12? 3 times 4 gives me 12. Now if you look at the first one, 1 plus 12 did not give me minus 7. 2 plus 6 did not give me 7. Now 3 plus 4 actually gives me 7. But this time we're looking for a negative 7, and for me to get a negative 7 it means I will just have to sum up minus 3 and minus 4, and minus 3 and minus 4 gives me minus 7. So these are the two numbers. So the two numbers are minus 3 and minus 4. Then the next step I'm just going to do is just open a bracket equals 0, then put my x plus and x plus. Then the next thing I'm going to put in my two numbers. The first number here is minus 3, the second number here is minus 4. Therefore I'm going to have x plus times minus gives me minus. Then I'll put the 3 down. The same thing the other side, plus times minus gives me minus. Then I'll put my 4 down, equals 0. So the next step is for me to equate each bracket to 0. Then I have here x minus 3 equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0. Finally, I'm going to just take minus 3 to the other side. Then when minus is going to the other side, it becomes plus. Then I have x equals 3. Remember, when minus 3 goes to the other side, it gives me plus. And also, when minus 4 is going to the other side, it turns to plus. So finally we have x equals 4. So this is the final answer to this quadratic equation. The method 2, completing the square method. Let's see how we can solve this question. We say solve x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Now let's see how to solve this question. X squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Now for me to solve this question, I'm going to just do 4 procedure. The first one, I will move the constant. So I'm going to move this constant, which is minus 4, to the other side. Move the constant to the other side. Then I will divide the coefficient. Sorry, let me write it like this so that we can understand. Move the constant to the other side. Then the second one, I'm going to divide the coefficient of x by 2. Then the next step, I'm going to square the results, and finally I'm going to add it to both sides. Now with this 4 procedure, I'm going to use it for this procedure to answer the question x squared plus 6x minus 7. Now the first one says move the constant to the other side. The constant, which is minus 7, and we have to take it to the other side. And when it's going to the other side, remember that our minus becomes positive. So I'm going to have x squared plus 6x equals 7. I'm done with the first procedure. Now the second procedure, which says divide the coefficient of x by 2. Now the coefficient of x is 6. This is the coefficient of x here. So this is the coefficient of x. So I'm going to divide it by 2. So if I divide it by 2, it gives me 3. Now that is all for the second procedure. Now the third procedure, which says square the results. Now the result I have here is 3, and by the time I square it, it gives me 9. That's all for the third procedure. Now the fourth procedure, which says add it to both sides. Now this is the question. This is the first side and this is the second side. So I'm going to add it to both sides. I will have x squared plus 6x. Add it, then I'll add plus 9 equals 7. Add it to the other side too, and I have plus 9. Now then I can now solve the quadratic equation. I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 7 plus 9 gives me 16. Then from here, if I factorize this one, I will have x plus 3. If you don't know where the 3 is coming from, you can just come and check from where you divide the coefficient of x, which is 3 here. So that's where we have 3. So but I will have to put the square. So I bracket here and I put x plus 3, which is that 3 where I divide the coefficient of x, then I put square, then equals 16. Now the next step is for me to take this square to the other side. And remember, when square is traveling, which is like this, it becomes square root. Don't forget, it becomes square root. So I have So I have x plus 3 equals the square root of 16, and x plus 3 equals plus or minus 4. So the next step is I'm going to have x. I'll just have to take this plus 3 to the other side, and when it's going, remember, it's going to have minus. Now this plus or minus 4 simply means I'm going to have two answers, and I'm going to have a positive answer which will be plus 4 and a negative answer which will be minus 4. So first I'm going to do the x plus 3 equals to a positive 4, and also x plus 3 equals to negative 4. So it's just like I separate the 4 into two parts, the plus 4 and the negative 4. Then we have for the first one, x equals 4 minus 3, and x equals minus 4 minus 3, and therefore we have x equals 1 and x equals minus 7. Remember, minus 4 minus 3 gives me minus 7, and this is the final answer to this question. The third method, which is the quadratic formula method, this is used when the question is very difficult to factorize. Then we apply the quadratic formula method. Quadratic formula method, which simply gives the formula as x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now this is the formula for the general for the quadratic formula method, and where we have this b, a and c, I'm going to show you now. We have the question 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 0. Now for the a, we have it as 2. The a takes the coefficient of the x squared, which is what, 2. For the b, we have it as minus 5. B takes the coefficient of x, which is minus 5. And for the c, we have it as minus 3. So c is taking the constant number, which is minus 3. So this is how we bring out all our a, b and c. Then after we now have this a, b and c, we can now solve the question. The question, we have x equals, now minus b is what? Our minus b is minus 5. Sorry, b is minus 5, not minus b. So I have minus, then and I'll put my minus 5. Remember, this minus comes with the formula. So why the second minus come with the 5? Then plus or minus the square root of, what is b now? B is also minus 5. So I have minus 5 all squared. Now this is not, there's difference between minus 5 square like this and minus 5 all squared. So these are not same number. This one, the answer here is minus 25. Why this one, the answer here is plus 25. So they are not the same number. So let's be careful. Anytime we have this kind of thing, we should always bracket it together with the minus. Let's continue. Then we now have minus 4 times, what is a? A is 2 times 2 times, what is c? C is minus 3. Then all over 2. What is a? A is 2. Therefore we have minus times minus. Our minus times minus gives us plus. For those of you that have forgotten, let me write the rule once more. We have minus times minus, it gives us plus, minus times plus gives us minus, plus times minus gives us minus, and plus times plus gives us plus. So it's the same thing when you put the division sign there. So minus divided by minus gives us plus, just like that and like that. So minus times minus gives us plus, then I put 5, then plus or minus the square root of, the square root of minus 5 square, which is 25. I have it as 25. Then now let's be careful here. This one, they are together. So if I have a multiplication inside this bracket, this means I want minus times this minus, and minus times this minus gives us plus. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 3 is what? 24. Then all over 2 times 2 is what? Is 4. Then we have x equals plus 5 here. I can also write it as just ordinary 5, plus or minus the square root of 24 plus 25, or 25 plus 24 gives me 49 all over 4. And using your calculator, we have x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 49. The square root of 49 using your calculator is 7 times 7, which is 49. So therefore the square root of 49 is 7. So I have it as 7 all over 4. Now, since I'm having this plus or minus, and from what I've taught you in the method of completing the square, anytime we see plus or minus, it means we have to divide or have to separate the question into 2. So I'm going to have x equals 5 plus 7 over 4, or 5 minus 7 over 4. Then we have x equals 5 plus 7, which gives me 12 over 4, or, now this is a positive 5, so a positive 5 minus 7 is minus 2. You can either use your calculator here, then over 4. Finally, we now have x equals 4 divided by 12. 4 here 1, 4 in 12 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 cannot go, so I just say 2 here 1, and 2 in 4 is 2. So I have it as 3 or minus 1 over 2. So this is the final answer to this question. Now the method 4, which is the graphical method. This one is not publicly used like that, but except if you are really asked to use it. So here we're just going to like draw the graph. But before we draw the graph, we have to create a table for the graph, and also we have to find the root where the curve cut at x-axis. So let's solve this question. We say solve x squared minus 5x plus 6. I hope you can see it clear. Solution. We are going to equate this our question to y. So it means I'm going to have y equals x squared minus 5x plus 6. Then I will have to draw this graph. But before I draw this graph, I will have to create a table, because I'm looking for the two or the roots where the curve cut at x-axis. So just assume we are going to have x and y table. So this is the x table and this is the y table. So we're going to have it at x when x is 0, also when x is 1, also when x is 2, also when x is 3, also when x is 4, and finally when x is 5. So now, by writing this question, y and when x is 0, so let's start. We have y equals when x is 0, so you have 0 square here minus 5 times 0 then plus 6. Then y gives us 0 square here is 0 minus 5 times 0 here is 0 then plus 6. It means that our y answer is 6. So when x is 0, y is 6. So this is how I'm going to fill all the boxes of y. So we go to the second one. Y equals when x is 1, so I have 1 square minus 5 brackets 1 plus 6. Then I have y equals, when you fill this one to y gives you 2, so I have 2 here. Then I will go to the third one. Y when x is 2, so this is 2 square minus 5 times 2 plus 6. Then y equals 0. So when you fill these two, it gives us 0. So we'll go to the third one when x is 3. So I have y equals 3 square minus 5 times 3 plus 6, and our answer gives us 0. So I'll go down and I'll put 0. So I'll go to the next one when x is 4. So I have y equals 4 square minus 5 times 4 plus 6, and my answer here is 2. So I'll go back and I'll fill it, put 2. Then I'll go to the final one when x is 5. So I have 5 square minus 5 plus 6. So when you use your calculator or you simplify further, we have y equals 6. So now I'll go back and I'll put 6. Now our next point is for us to draw the graph. Now I'm going to try to draw this graph in this place so that we can see it. So to where I can draw the graph. Now I hope you can see this. So first we are going to find our scale of graph, and I have to do 5 boxes for 1 centimeter to represent 1 axis. So my scale, sorry, let me write it boldly so you can see it. So my scale will be at x-axis. We have 1 centimeter rep 1 unit. So at y-axis we have 1 centimeter rep 1 unit. So in your own graph, it can be different centimeter, it can be different units, the way you want it. Now we're going to number our graph. Remember, this is the x-axis, and up here is the y-axis. So at the x-axis we have our 1 here, followed by 2, followed by 3, followed by 4, followed by 5, followed by 6. Now at the y-axis we also have 1, followed by 2, followed by 3, followed by 4, followed by 5, and followed by 6. Okay, let me just point where the numbers will be here. so that when we are drawing our graph, it can be much easier. Okay, here too we have it here. Yeah. Now it's going to be very difficult for me to draw the curve, but we'll see how we get it. Now from the table x and y, when x is 0, remember this is the 0 region for both x and y. So it says when x is 0, y is what? Is 6. So if this is the x region, if this is x region for x and is 0 and y is 6, so to be here. So let me use another color to make it more better. So I have here as that. Then I'll go to the second table. We have when x is 1, y is 2. So this is my x being 1 and my y is 2. So at this side here, I have to trace it, so you have to be careful where the both of them join. I don't know if you understand. So the reason why the dot is here is because this is where the both of them meet. Now the second one, the third one rather, we say when x is 2, y is 0. Now remember, this is my x as 2 and y is 0. This is the region for y being 0. So we just have to just put it here. Now the next one, when x is 3, y is also 0. So the same thing with that one, we have it here. The next one, when x is 4, y is 2. Now when x is 4 to be here and y is 2 to be here. So this is where the both of them meet. Let me just draw it so that you can see. You can see how it goes. Then the fifth one, when x is 4, sorry, I've done that. When x is 5, y is 6. So x is 5 here, y is 6. So it's all the way up to this side, if I'm correct. So this is where, if you trace it, we can see that it's a straight line. Sorry, you can see that it's a straight line. And if I trace here too, I can see that it's a straight line. So this is where the both of them meet. So I will have to clean the dots so that we can solve it more better. I have to be careful so I don't clean a line or the star. Now the next thing is to now draw the graph. Well, it's going to be difficult for me, but let's see how it will be. But we should know that a quadratic equation is always in a curve shape. So this is definitely going to give me a curve. From the way we see, this is the first one, going down to the second one, to the third one, then going up back again to the fourth one, then finally to the fifth one. So if I'm to draw it, if you are drawing it with your book, it will be more easier. But this sorry, so if you are drawing with your book, it will be more easier. So let me just try it here. So we are going to manage it. I think I tried, or what do you think? So but if you are drawing with your book, you can draw it very, very well and very, very good. So this is the graph of the equation y equals x squared minus 5x plus 6, and at this point the graph cuts at x-axis at this point. So if you look at it here, where the graph cuts the x-axis is at these 2 points. We have it here and here. So with this, we can say that our final answers, which is x, is equals to 2 or x equals 3. So this is the final answer to this question. This is the final answer to this question. Where they cut at x-axis from the graph, you can see it. So with this, we are done with graphical method. Okay, our next topic or subtopic is discriminant. Now, for those of you preparing for WAEC or JAMB or even SATs exam, this topic is very important, as most of the questions comes from this discriminant subtopic. Now, the discriminant tells us the number of roots. That's just all you need to know. So when we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and we now have our diagram as like this, then the discriminant just tells us the number of the roots, just like how we solve the graphical method the other time. Now there's a formula for finding the discriminant of roots. Now we have it as delta equals b squared minus 4ac. Now this is the formula for solving any discriminant questions, but this discriminant has 4 features or 4 conditions. The first one, which is now if delta is greater than 0, it means it has 2 different real roots. Now condition 2, if delta equals 0, then it has 1 repeated root. And finally, if delta is less than 0, then it has no roots. So anytime they give us a question under discriminants finding delta, we should be very careful, because they might ask us to find the roots or ask us to find the 2 different roots, or find a 1 repeated root, or find if it has no roots. Now let's see this example under discriminants. Now we are asked to find the nature of these roots. And for us to find the nature of this root, which is very simple, we have to first bring out our a, b and c. And by this, we have a as 2, then we have b as 4, and we have c as 2. Now the next step is for us to find what condition delta fall into. So by doing that, I'm just going to write delta, then put a blank box, because I don't know the question. I don't know if it's equal to, or if it's less than, or if it's greater than. But I'm going to apply the formula whereby delta is either equal to or less than or greater than b square minus 4ac. Now, then to solve it, I will now have delta, then put the box. Since I don't know what will be there, my b here is 4, so I'll put 4 square minus 4 times my a is 2 times my c is 2. So I have delta, then the box, 4 square is 16 minus 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. Then delta, then the box, equals 0. Sorry for saying equals, like I've said the answer. But as we can see here from our condition, let's go back to our condition. Our condition says if delta is greater than 0, our answer here is not greater than 0. If delta is equal to 0, our answer here is equal to 0. So we put equal to this place. So it means that the nature of the root is the nature of the root is one repeated root. So this is the final answer. Just simple and short. Now let's go to a different example this time around. Okay, find the nature of the root x squared minus 5x plus 6. Now to solve this one also, I will have to bring out my a, b and c. So here I have a equals 1, b equals minus 5, let's not forget the minus there, and c equals 6. So now we recall delta, then the box, since we don't know the nature of it yet, b squared minus 4ac. Then delta, then the box, what is b in the question? B in the question is minus 5, then we'll bracket it square, then minus 4 times 1 times 6, then delta, then the box, minus 5 square equals 25, then minus 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 6 is 24. So finally delta, then the box gives me 1. So by this, is delta greater than 0, or is it equal to 0, or is less than 0? So actually, since we're having 1 and we're not having 0 and we're not having negative number, it means delta is greater than 0. Then we can now say the nature of the root is two different real roots. So by this is our final answer. Now, what problem in quadratic equation? This is also one of the most common questions that WAEC and JAMB usually set, including SAT. So, and word problem, just by the name you should know that it has problem, because you have to interpret the English word into mathematical equation. But nothing to worry about. Let's see how we can solve these questions, these word problem questions in quadratic equation. Now, example 1, which says the product of two consecutive integers is 56. Find the numbers. Now, consecutive integer, first of all, integer simply means just number. Like if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, all to 100, all to 1 million. So this is called integer. Now, it does not have to do with point, that is 2.1 or 3.1 or 3.2. This is not an integer, and it does not also have to do with fraction, that is 1/2 or 2/3. This is also not an integer. So integer simply means just an whole number. Now, consecutive simply means the first number then followed by the next number. You must not jump forward, you must not jump backward. Just the first number then followed by the next number. That is the meaning of consecutive. So it means that if my answer here is 2, it means the next consecutive number here should be 3. If my answer here is 100, it means the next consecutive number here should be 101. So that is the meaning of consecutive. So let us see how we solve this kind of question. First, we have to interpret the question, and we say let the first number be x. Now, we don't know the number, so we're just assuming it is just x. Now, the second number, then the second number be, now the second number is just an addition of the first number, just adding 1 to the first number. Remember, our first number is x, so I'll just have to add 1 to make it my second number. So my second number will be x plus 1. So this is my second number. So my first number is x, then my second number is x plus 1. Now the question still says the product of the both of them gives me 56. So the product will be, now I have it as x. Product simply means multiplication, or I just use bracket. So x, then bracket x plus 1. So if I open this bracket, I will have x squared plus x times 1, it is x. So I either leave it like this as the first one, or I use the second one, but I want to use the second one. So, and finally, they said is 56. So the result is 56. So it means that x squared plus x equals 56. So this is how we interpret this quadratic equation and put it into a normal equation for us to solve. So by this, we can now solve the question which says, the question which says x squared plus x equals 56. So first, I will just have to bring back this 56 to this other side. So when I'm bringing it back, remember there's a positive sign here, and when it's going back, it will be negative. So I'm going to rewrite the question as x squared plus x minus 56 equals 0. So I did not change anything. I just take the positive 56 to the other side, becomes negative 56. Now the next thing is for me to look for two numbers, whereby if I multiply the two numbers, I'm going to have 56. I'm going to have minus 56, and if I add the two numbers, I'm going to have 1. So from what I've taught you from in factorization, you should be able to do this. So our number will be 8. Our number will be 8 and minus 7. So these are the two numbers. So if I multiply them, 8 times minus 7, it gives me minus 56, and 8 plus brackets minus 7, that is 8 minus 7, it gives me plus 1. So the next thing I'll just have to just open to put a bracket. So I have here bracket here, bracket here, bracket here. Then I put one of the x here and the second x here. So I now put, since there's a plus, this is a positive 8, so I'll put the plus 8 here, and minus 7, I'll put the minus 7 here, so equals 0. Then the next step is for me to equate each bracket to 0. So I have x plus 8 equals 0, and x minus 7 equals 0. And finally I have x. Remember, when plus 8 is going to that side, it changed to minus 8. So x is equals to minus 8 and x is equals to 7. Now we go back to the question. Which says the first number, which is x, and the second number, which is x plus 1. Now for the first number, sorry, the first number, from our answer x, we have two answers, minus 8 and 7. So we're going to do them one after the other. So the first number, x, will be minus 8. Second number, which is x plus 1. Now it's going to be, remember x is already minus 8, so it means that we have minus 8 plus 1, which is minus 7. So the two consecutive number here for the first one, we have minus 8 and minus 7. These are the two consecutive number. So now let's go for the other one. This is when x is minus 8. Now let's go for the second one, when x equals 7. So we also have the first number, x equals 7, then the second number, which is x plus 1, equals, remember x is already 7, so this is 7 plus 1. Therefore we have our two numbers, which is equals 8. So we have our two numbers as 7 and 8. So this is our two number from the two consecutive number, and as you can see, the both of them follow each other. The first number here is minus 8, the second number will have to be minus 7. Remember, this is a negative number, so it's going down. The biggest number there, in as much as it has a minus number, it automatically turns to the smallest number. Why the smallest number? In as much as it has the negative number, automatically turns as the biggest number. So this is the first one and this is the second one. So this is how to solve this question. So still under the word problem in quadratic equation, example 2, which says the length of a rectangle is 3 meters more than its width and the area is 54 meters square. Find the dimension. So this one is also a very easy question. First, you just have to draw a rectangle. So if this is a rectangle and I have my length here and my width here, so this length here simply means, from the question, the length of a rectangle is 3 meters more than its the width. It means that here is simply 3 more than the width. That is the meaning. So let us see how we are going to bring out our perimeter carefully. So we start by saying, let the width be x, then the length be 3 plus w. So this is 3 plus width. So since our width is already x, so I can rewrite it by saying 3 plus x. Then the question says the area is 54. So the area is 54 meter square. Remember the formula for area of a rectangle is length times breadth, or length times width. So we have it as, remember my length is 3 plus x, then times my width is just x. So, and they said the answer of that area is 54 meter square, so equals 54 meter square. So by doing this, I have x times 3, I have 3x plus x times x, I have x square, equals 54 meter. I'm just going to drop the meter square for now so I can just solve it normally. So I will just arrange this question, then I will have it as x squared plus 3x, and when plus 54 is traveling to the other side, it becomes minus. So I have it here minus 54, then equals 0. So the next thing, just like we did, we have to find two numbers that when I multiply it, when I find the product, it's going to give me minus 54, and when I add it, it's going to give me 3. So the number will be as 9 and minus 6. So if I multiply 9 by minus 6, it gives me minus 54, and if I add it, it will give me just 3. So then we open our brackets. We have brackets here and brackets here equals 0. Then open these two x, we have x here and x here. So the first number, which is 9, we can now put it, remember it's a positive 9, so we put a plus 9, and the second number is minus 6, so we put minus 6. So the next step is for us to equate each bracket with 0. So we have x plus 9 equals 0, or x minus 6 equals 0. Then our final answer will be x equals minus 9, or x equals 3. Now, remember we are dealing with rectangle, and this is a shape that we can see and we can touch. So this is not just imaginary. So it means that there's no any rectangle that have to do with a measurement, a negative measurement. So we have it as, since width can't be negative number, therefore x, which is equals to width, is 3. So the width here is 3, then the length, which is x plus 1, which is length, sorry, not x plus 1, x plus 3, made a mistake there, x plus 3, which is equals 3 plus 3, which is 6 meter. So I put meter here. So the dimension will be 6 meter by 3 meter. So this is the final answer. So let's see some WAEC quadratic equation questions. These questions are very, very tricky, so we just have to be very careful and very precise when we are solving these questions. So this one, example 1, which says solve 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. Now to solve this kind of question is also very easy. I have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. For me to solve this, since the coefficient of my x square, the coefficient of my x square is having a number, so I will not be able to factorize just like that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use that number to multiply with my constant. So I'm going to use the number to multiply my constant. Remember, I'm multiplying it, so 2 times 3 is 6. Then I will just rewrite the question again, still putting that 2. So I have 2x squared plus 7x plus 2 times 3 is 6 equals 0. Now the next thing, I can now factorize it. So I'm going to look for two numbers, just like how we have been doing. Look for two numbers whose product, the product is 6 and the sum is 7. So can you see? So the two numbers are, so the two numbers are 1 and 6. So if I multiply it, 1 times 6 gives me 6, and 1 times 1 plus 6 gives me 7. So the two numbers are 1 and 6. So the next thing, I'll just put my brackets. I'll put my brackets here and here and here and here equals 0. So this time I'm going to write my 2x. All right, 2x here, then 2x here. Then the next thing, I'm going to put my two numbers. Remember, they are positive number, so I will have plus 1 and plus 6. So finally, I will equate each bracket with the 0. So I have 2x plus 1 equals 0, and 2x plus 6 equals 0. Then taking plus 1 to the other side, I have 2x equals minus 1, and also taking plus 6 to the other side, I have 2x equals minus 6. So for me to make x stand alone, or for me to find x, I will divide the coefficient of x, which is 2, by 2. So I'll divide here by 2, I'll divide here by 2. So dividing it, we have 2 cancel 2, which is 1, and 2 cannot cancel 1, and this is a proper fraction, so we just leave it. So at this other side, we are also going to do the same thing. Divide here by 2 and divide here by 2. So 2 cancel 2, and I have 2 here 1, and 2 in 6 is 3. So finally, my answer gives me x equals minus 1 over 2, and x gives me minus 3. So this is the final answer to this question. So let's see this second example that WAEC usually sets. So we said find the root of this question, 3x squared minus 15x equals 0. Now if you notice that this question does not have a c there, so this is just 3x squared minus 15x. There's supposed to be a number, but there's not any number, so and it equals to 0. So how do we solve this question? This is very simple. I just have to find what is common between 3x squared and 15x. So what is common between the both of them? 3x is actually common, so I'll bring out 3x. Then if I remove 3x from 3x squared, it will remain just only x. Then minus, if I remove 3 from 15, it will give me 5, and if I remove x from x, that will be just 1. So close the bracket equals 0. Then the next, I'm just going to separate these two questions. When I see something like this, what they just want me to do is just to separate the both of them, and by separating them, I'm going to have 3x equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. So finally we have x equals 0, because when 3 is dividing 0, it gives me 0, and x equals, when minus 5 is going to the other side, it gives me a positive 5. And to this is the final answer. So let's see this common JAMB question of quadratic equations. For those of us that are also preparing for JAMB, this is like the possible questions they can ask you under quadratic equation. Example 1, which says if 1 root of x squared minus kx plus 12 equals 0 is 3, find k. So what they're trying to tell us that they've actually found one root. So they found one of the x, so it remained the second x. So how do we find the second x? This is very simple. What we just have to do is to substitute 3 as x in the equation. So then I have 3 square minus k3 plus 12 equals 0. Then 3 square is what? 9. Minus k times 3 is what? Is 3k. Then plus 12 equals 0. So if I rewrite this question, I have minus 3k plus 9 plus 12 equals 0. Then minus 3k plus 9 plus 12 is 21 equals 0. And finally minus 3k equals minus 21. And for me to find k, I have to divide the coefficient of k, which is minus 3. So I'll divide here by minus 3 and divide here by minus 3. So when I divide it, I have minus will cancel the minus and 3 will cancel the 3. Then minus will cancel the minus and 3 cancel 21, remains 7. So the final answer here, k is 7. So this is the answer to this kind of question. Now the second question under JAMB on quadratic equation, which says find the sum and the product of the root of 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. So I have 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Now if you remember our discriminant, we have that sum will be minus b over a, and product will be c over a. So from here we can find our a, b and c. So we have our a to be 2, b to be minus 5 and c to be 3. So solving this, we just have to just input the number. I have minus, then b is also minus 5 over my a is 2. So minus times minus is plus. If you remember that rule, then 5 over 2. Then we can put it into a mixed fraction. How many 2 can I see in 5? I can actually see 2 2's inside 5. Then what is left? 1 is remain, then over 2. So this is the final answer for finding the sum of the roots. Now let's go for the product. The product which says c over a. C in the question here is 3, then over a is 2. So the final answer here is also 3 over 2. And to put it in a mixed fraction, how many 2 can I see in 3? I can actually see only 1, 2 in 3. What is left? Just 1, then over 2. So this is also the final answer to this question. Now for SAT standard questions under quadratic equation, we have the example 1, which says if x squared minus 10x plus k equals 0 and it has exactly one solution, find k. Now this question is a little bit confusing because they did not give us one root, but they gave us one condition which says it has exactly one solution. So if we go back to our discriminant theorem, where we have those three features or three conditions, where we have delta equals 0 and delta greater than 0 and delta less than 0. So if you remember the second condition, which says delta greater than 0, it simply means it has just one solution. So that is what we are going to be using to solve this question. So we write the question as x squared minus 10x plus k equals 0. Then we take our a, b and c. We have a to be 1, b to be minus 10, and c to be k. Then we recall that the delta, which is box, is b square minus 4ac. Now, since we are doing this as exactly one root, it means here will have to be equal to sign, because it has exactly one root. Had it been it has exactly two roots, we use the greater than, and if it has no root, we use the less than sign. So to continue solving this question, we have delta equal to, what is b? B is minus 10, so I have minus 10 all squared, then minus 4 times, what is a? A is 1, times c, what is c? Which is k. So delta equals minus 10 squared is 100, then minus 4 times 1 times k is 4k. Now remember that this is also equal to 0. This is also equal to 0, so I will just equate it to 0 from the second feature of discriminant. So then I'll have to take this minus 4k to the other side. Sorry, let me not take that. I will have to take this 10 to the other side. Then I have minus 4k equals minus 100. Then I'll divide both sides by minus 4, divide this side by minus 4. Then our final answer, when I divide, minus we cancel minus, 4 we cancel 4, minus cancel minus, and 4 here 1, 4 in 100 gives me 25. So finally I have k equals 25. So this is the final answer to this SAT question. Now the second question under SAT standard questions, we are asked to find the vertex of y equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. This simply means that we should just find the point on the graph where we draw the quadratic equation graph, then we find the vertex point. So vertex just simply means your x-axis and your y-axis altogether. But before then, I will have to first find x, which is equal to minus b over 2a. And from our question, we have a to be 1, b to be minus 6, and c to be 8. So I have it here as minus, then bracket minus 6 over 2 times 1. Then I have it as 6 divided by 2. Then finally I have 3. So I already find the x-axis. It's just left for me to find the y-axis. And for me to do that, I will just have to substitute this x, which is 3, into the question. Then I'll have y equals 3 square minus 6 bracket 3 plus 8. So y equals 3 square is 9 minus 6 times 3 is 18, then plus 8. So finally I now have y equals this is a positive number and a positive number, so I can just put it as 9 plus 8 is 17, then minus 18. Finally, y equals 17 minus 18 is minus 1. So my vertex x comma y gives me 3 comma minus 1. So this is the final answer to this question. So for the quadratic equation here, we have the WAEC/JAMB questions. Number 1, if 1 root of x squared minus 9x plus k equals 0 is 4, find k. Number 2, we have find the nature of the roots of 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. Number 3, we have the sum of two consecutive numbers is 15 and the product is 56. Form and solve a quadratic equation. For those of you that are preparing for a SATs exam, this is a standard question. You can practice it at home. Number 1, which says a quadratic equation has roots 5 and minus 2. Form the quadratic equation. Number 2, the graph of y equals x squared minus 8x plus 12 crosses the x-axis at what value? Number 3, we have find the minimum value of y equals x squared minus 10x plus 21. And this concludes our video on quadratic equation. I hope you've learned a lot. Thank you once again for learning with reality of math. And remember, math is not difficult. It only becomes easy when it's explained in the right way. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and keep solving. See you in the next video. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious, and stay consistent. Bye for now.